Hello again. We have the candle going again tonight. Well, sure. It's nearly that time, isn't it? People used to think Halloween was just this time of the year and one night. No, not for me. It never was anyway. I remember it'd start in April. See, I used to watch the hares, and I used to watch them when they had the young. They're very, very clever, the hare, because I found an owl remains of a 100-year-old swing in Ringbog, around where these trees were, and it was the remains of my ancestors, my granduncles and my granddads played on it when they were children, exactly 100 years earlier. And I made up that swing, put new ropes on it, a new set, and I wanted to sit in it and see what they saw. And the magic I saw was, and because it was in the shadows, I could see the low bank and the high bank of Derrycoffey Bog and some of Ringbog. And I used to watch these hares, and who were very clever. And from April, they used to have their two young ones, leverets, I think they called the young hare, in the form in the grass. And what the mammy hare used to do was she'd have them in the grass, but she'd always do it around where there was like nearly a pond of water, because obviously April was always very wet. And the way she used to stick her head up, and she'd leap from puncaun to puncaun, not to leave any scent for hunters, and away she'd go up the bog and get herself a feed and come back. I used to watch that, and I'd watch them young hares until the November to become young adults. And it used to be amazing, the stuff you see and the magic of Tor and Derrycoffey and all the bogs surrounding Tor, because that little pond of water would be a mirror to the moon, and you could see the whole. I could see everything, absolutely everything, from a little swing in the trees. And then I come along, and I'd be the things I found when one year, just before I started work, I was still at school. I went working with a builder, and we're doing up an old cottage above in Croghan Hill. Oh, it was way up the side of the hill, like. And my God, the stuff I found in that old house, it hadn't been lived in for years. And there was an old suitcase in one of the wardrobes, and the letters going back to 1896, and they were all from two sons, and the father's name was Michael O'Neill. And on my break time I used to sit reading these letters, and fascinated me, lovely, beautiful handwriting. And they were in Australia, and they were writing to their father, telling him what a great country it was. But there was this little book, little hardback book, a writing book, and there was a few stories in it, and one of them that really struck me was the one about, and I used to sit in this swing on Halloween night, and because I knew that it's the hares that lead the way into the other world. They are the connection from our world into that. That's why we've never understood hares completely. We've never figured them out. And when I'd be watching them, I'd be thinking of these stories of Croghan Hill, because I'm right in front, about 3 miles. Croghan Hill's in front of me, and with the light of the moon I could see it all, and I could pinpoint by sight where this cottage was. And this story that this Michael O'Neill wrote in, I think it was 1906, the day. Now, I'm That's a rough guess. I'm pretty sure it was. And I don't remember the story word for word, but I remember the structure of the story. And it absolutely fascinated me at the time about the fairy queen above the hill of Croghan and how she wouldn't allow the farmer that owned that land at that time. He put cows and a bull and sheep above it, and how she became resentful and she came down and haunted him. She could turn herself into a duck's head on a monkey's body, all kinds of things, shape shifting and everything. And it said the poor devil, he used to sit there and his hat would sit two inches above the top of his head from his hair standing up on his head. And didn't all his teeth fell out from chattering. She had him absolutely terrified, and that was to keep the cattle off the top of the... if you ever look at Croghan Hill, if you ever Google it, it has a little cap on the top of it. And apparently that was her. She's a din there. And he was putting these cattle where she liked to dance with her troop. So because that was grand anyway, he tried. He hired all kinds of men and offered them all kinds of money to sit up at night with these cattle and sheep, and to no avail. Every one of them was terrified off the hill. But because he went 15 parishes, and he met a man called Larry Donohoe, and apparently Larry Donohoe was the best fiddler for another 15 parishes. Nobody could touch him with a fiddle, and he was a fearless man. And he said to O'Neill, he said, I'll take you up, he said. And he offered him great money to shepherd these sheep and cattle. He says, I'll stay up, and he says, I guarantee you, she won't drive me off the hill. When you're a bold man, Donohoe, he said, no one else will. He said, I guarantee you. He says, no living man could drive me off anywhere. He says, and I'll be damned if any fairy's going to do it. So because he gave him the job anyway, he went up, and the first night he was there and he took his fiddle out and started playing the fiddle. And she appeared to him, and she turned into a turkey cock with the body of a mule, and that didn't work. He carried on playing away. He says, you don't got me, he said. Then she turned into a cat, a great big cat, and she stood up on her claws like that and had yokes round her neck and everything. He said, you don't got me, he said. No way, he says. And we got the next thing, she turned into a fairy calf. And she said, I dare you get on me back, Larry Donohoe. And because he did, he hopped on her back and she went round the hill in seconds, leaping from the top to the middle to the bottom. The bow Larry kept playing the fiddle anyway. Because she gets back to the top of the hill and she says, well, Larry Donohoe, you're a great man, she said. And as far as I'm concerned, as long as we're here and as long as I'm here, you can leave your cattle there. She said, I couldn't get the better of you. So that was something like the way this story. Now, it was much longer than that. And that was all in a suitcase under the name of a man called Michael O'Neill. And the letters went from 1890 something, I think it was 94, up until 1916. And I had them letters for years, like under my bed in the suitcase, and the other lad robbed it and sold it for a few pints of drink. I'd love to have them again, but that's what Halloween was like for me. I used to see lads going out, like having a bit of crack, robbing neighbours' gates and all that, and it was good crack. But as soon as that was over, they all wandered home around 12 o'clock. I was straight down to the bog. I couldn't miss. My heart would be beating with excitement. And none of it was ever fearful. I never knew fear in 10 places. Great stuff. Mighty.